Hi guys, this video depicts a mock interview for Power BI which is very close to what you will face in a real interview for any MNC. We are going to cover important questions related to DAX, Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service, Power Query and much more. So please watch the video till the very end and you will be able to gain a lot from it. Can you please give me a little background about yourself and the work experience you have in Power BI?
Myself, I have 4 years of experience in total, out of which 2.5 years of experience is in business intelligence and data warehousing concepts. I have created multiple reports in Excel and Power BI, and I have created reports in finance, retail, sales and healthcare, etc. I am engaged in end-to-end process of creating a report. So as a first step, we gather the requirements of the report, and after gathering the requirements, we create a blueprints, which is just a replica of a Power BI report. So we create that blueprint in PowerPoint, and after creating that blueprint, we take the approval of the client or the business. Then we develop the report in Power BI Desktop, and we do the unit testing, and after that we support the QA testing as well. And finally, we deploy the report in production workspace for the final user. As a professional, I'm a very hardworking and dedicated person. Whatever is assigned to me, I give my more than 100% towards that. Even if there is any challenging task, I provide all my efforts into that and try to complete that as per expectations.
Okay. What is Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service?
Power BI Desktop is an application in which we develop our reports, and Power BI Service is basically a cloud platform which is used to share the reports with other people.
Okay. Can you tell me the three views we have in Power BI?
There are 3 types of views in Power BI: report view, relationship view and table view. In report view, we create our visuals of the report. In table view, we have our data set of the report, and in the relationship view, we have our tables and how they are related to each other.
Okay. What are the different types of filters we have in Power BI?
There are 4 types of filters in Power BI: visual level filter, report level filter, page level filter and drill through filter. In visual level filter, we basically filter a particular visual of the report, and in page level filter, we implement the filter on a particular page of the report, and in the report level filter, we implement the filters on all the pages of the report. And in drill through filter, what happens is that, for example, we have a table view, and in that table view we have a hierarchy of the regions: country, state and city. So our data is divided in this form in that table visual. But at this point of time, our data is set on the country level, and we want to see the data on the city level. So what we have to do, we have to implement the drill through filter over here. So there are icons for that. So if you click on that particular icon, then our data will be drilled through from country level to state level, and then further it will be drilled through to state level to city level. So in this way we can implement our drill through filter, and it is helpful a lot.
Can you explain what is row level security and what functions are used to implement it?
Can I please explain this with the help of an example?
Yeah, sure. Please feel free.
Thank you so much. So for example, we have sales data for 4 regions: Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai and Bangalore. And we have 4 sales managers assigned to these regions. And we want that the Delhi sales manager should not be able to see the data for other regions, and same thing should be implemented for other regional sales manager as well. So to implement this scenario, we use row level security, and user principal name and username functions are used to implement this.
Okay. How would you optimize the performance of a slow report in Power BI?
In Power BI Desktop, we have performance analyzer option, and if we want to optimize our report, and if we want to see that which particular measure or visual is taking more time, for knowing that, we run that option, and it starts recording the time of each visual and measure. So it also indicates that which particular measure or visual is taking more time. So when we notice that, we try to optimize our report, and we try to optimize that particular measure which is taking more time in DAX Studio. So in this way, we implement performance optimization in Power BI.
Can you please specify the types of relationships we have in Power BI?
We have four types of relationships in Power BI: one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, many-to-one relationship, and many-to-many relationship. When a particular value can only have one record on both sides, then that is one-to-one relationship. When a particular value can only have one value in one table and multiple value of that particular value in the other table, then that is one-to-many relationship. When a particular value can have many values on both the sides, then that is many-to-many relationship.
And how can we handle many-to-many relationships?
We can handle many-to-many relationships by creating a bridge table in Power BI. So that particular table will be having one-to-many relationship with both the tables, and that table will be connected with both the tables.
Can we have two active relationship between tables? And which tags would you use if you want to access both the relationships?
No, we cannot have two active relationship in between two tables. If you want to maintain multiple relationships between two tables, then one relationship would be active relationships and other relationships would be inactive relationship. And in any case, if you want to use that inactive relationship in any measure, then we can use user relationship function for that.
What's the difference between calendar and calendar auto?
Both functions, calendar and calendar auto, returns a date column with the continuous dates. The basic difference between the two is that in calendar function, we have to specify the start date and end date, while in the calendar auto function, we don't have to specify the start date and end date because they are automatically captured from the data model.
Can you please explain how the start date and end date are automatically captured in calendar auto?
Okay, so the minimum date, which is start date, and the max date, which is the end date, they are captured automatically from the data model in the calendar auto function.
Can you explain the difference between sum and sumx?
Both sum and sumx functions are used to add the values. The sum function is used to add the value in a particular column, while sumx function is used to calculate the value or add the values on the basis of an expression. So for example, we have a sales table, and in that sales table we have quantity and price, and we want to calculate the total sales. We cannot do that with the use of sum function, but we can do that with the use of sumx function. So I will explain the syntax of sumx function now. Sumx function is an iterator function which runs row by row. So how we can write that? We can write sumx bracket open, then we will write the name of the table, which is sales table, comma, then we have expressions price and quantity, then we will write price, then we will write into, then quantity, and we will close the bracket, and that would give the perfect result, and some cannot do this.
Okay, can you give me another example of an iterator function?
Yes, we have multiple iterator functions like rankx, countx, and filter is also an iterator functions.
Can you specify 10 DAX function that you have used in the past?
Yes, sure. So I have used calculate, filter, all selected, selected value, sum, sumx, rankx, count distinct, count rows, earlier, summarize, and values, distinct. So this kind of functions I have used, and I have also used time intelligence functions.
Okay, you mentioned about values and distinct. Can you please tell me the difference between them?
I'm not sure about the exact difference between values and distinct, but if we have null values in a column, that values doesn't show it, and if we have null values in a column, then distinct show it. I think this is the difference, but I'm not sure about it.
And what is the difference between calculate and calculate table?
Calculate returns a single value, and it is usually paired with filter function, while calculate table returns a table and it gives the output in tabular format.
Do you know what is the difference between a measure and a calculated column?
The measure uses filter context, while the calculated column uses row level context. So if we use calculated column, then each row has a separate value which is stored in memory of Power BI, while the measure uses filter context and it is not stored in memory. It is filtered on the basis of the dimensions next to it. So for example, we have products and sales, then the sales are filtered on the basis of the products, and if we have product and region, then the sales are filtered on the basis of product and region. Also, since the calculated columns are stored in memory of Power BI, they can increase the size of our report and they can also impact the performance of our dataset and report.
Okay. Can you please also explain the purpose of cross filter?
I know that cross filtering is used for bidirectional filtering, but I have never used it.
Okay. So now we are going to move towards Power Query and I'm going to ask you some question related to it. So the first question is, you receive 100 different sales files with the same structure every month. How will you use them in Power BI?
If the data structure of the data is same, then you can place those files in a folder and then we can use folder import in the Power BI and then we can combine those files and use them as a data set.
Okay. What are the different types of data import modes we have in Power BI and which mode should be used in what case?
We have two different types of data import in Power BI. One is direct query and the other is import. In the direct query, when we have a big data set, then in that case we can use direct query, and when we have limited data set, then we can use import mode. In the import mode, the data is stored in the Power BI memory, while in direct query it is not stored in Power BI memory. The data is imported as metadata in Power BI in direct query. Also, if we are using import mode, then in that case we have to implement schedule refresh for our reports in PowerBI service.
Okay. Why do you have to implement scheduled refresh in import mode?
Because if on the back end the data is changing on regular intervals or on regular basis, then in that case it is necessary that we have to implement schedule refresh for our reports. If we don't implement schedule refresh, then in that case our reports won't be updated as per the latest data.
Okay. What is the difference between append and merge in Power BI?
When we have to increase the number of columns, then in that case we use merge. This is the horizontal expansion of our data set. And when we have to increase the number of rows, then in that case we use append. This is the vertical expansion of our data set. Merge is similar to joining of data, while append is similar to union of data.
Can you please tell the different data sources you have connected using Power BI?
Yeah, sure. So I have used Excel, CSV, SQL Server, Oracle, and analysis services, PDF import, and folder import. So I have used this kind of data sources.
What is the difference between a CSV and an Excel?
CSV is a comma separated file which can have only one sheet, while an Excel can have multiple sheets.
Did you face any challenge while importing the data from PDF in Power BI?
Yes, I did face challenge while importing the data in Power BI through PDF because the table which was there in the PDF did not have any borders, which is why when we were importing the data in Power BI, the Power BI was not able to map it properly.
Okay. Can you tell me the usual steps that you perform whenever you load your dataset into Power BI?
Sure. So when we import our data in Power BI, first we check that if the top row is the header row. Sometimes it happens that the header row is not in the top row, so then in that case we have to make it a header. Also, the data types are not in the proper format sometimes. For example, if we have a date column and then that date column does not have the data type date, then in that case we have to change it to data type. Likewise, when we have the text, like we have a name column and that name column is not in the text format, then in that case we have to make it text. So likewise we change the data types of all the columns if it is not in a proper format. And if we have duplicate rows, then we delete those duplicate rows. If there is any column which is not necessary, then we delete that column. If any column which is necessary and it is not there, then in that case we add that column. Sometimes we use conditional columns, sometimes we use custom columns. We transform our columns by sometimes we have to pivot data, sometimes we have to unpivot data. So this kind of transformation steps we perform. We append the data, we merge the data. So this is the thing which is there in data transformation steps.
Okay. So let's move to Power BI Service. Can you please explain what is a workspace?
A workspace is an environment in Power BI Service in which we publish our developed reports. So we in our organization we had three types of workspaces: dev workspace, test workspace, and production workspace. In dev workspace, we used to publish our development reports. Whenever the development was completed, we used to move those reports to the test workspace. And when the QA team was done with the testing, then they used to move it to the production workspace for final users.
Okay. Can you please tell me what Power BI license did you use on your project and what kind of different Power BI license are there?
There are three types of licenses in Power BI: Power BI Free, Power BI Pro, and Power BI Premium. In my previous organization, I have used Power BI Pro, and in my current organization, I'm using Power BI Premium.
So tell me one thing. Can we refresh our dataset every hour with Pro license?
No, there are maximum of 8 refreshes in a day in Power BI Pro license.
Okay. So our source data is changing every 6 hours. How would you make sure that your report also updates every 6 hours?
We need to implement scheduled refresh on our reports. In that case, let's say the data is updated at 6 a.m. in the morning in the source data. So in that case, what we can do is we can implement the scheduled refresh at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. So our report would be updated as per the latest data.
Do we need any specific configuration for scheduled refresh?
Yes, we need to configure gateways if we want to implement scheduled refresh for our reports.
Can we send an automatic email to our users for a specific event? Like if our sales is greater than 5 million for the day, then we want to send an email to all our users.
Yes, we can send an automated alert to our users, and for that what we need to do is we need to create an automated alert using Power Platform, and for that we need to create a dashboard in Power BI Service for that particular report. How we can create that dashboard? That dashboard can only be created using a card visual, KPI card visual, or a gate chart visual.
Do you know what are data flows in Power BI and have you created one?
Yes, I have created data flows in Power BI. Data flows creation is just like dataset creation in Power BI Desktop. The difference is the Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service. In Power BI Service, we can also use different data sources for importing our data, and then we can perform data transformation steps in Power BI Service itself for the data flow creation. And these data flows can also be used as reusable entities for our different reports.
Okay. Can you please tell me the difference between star and snowflake schema?
Yes, sure. So in star schema, the fact tables and dimension tables are directly related to each other. While in the snowflake schema, some of the dimensions are not directly connected to fact tables, while they are connected via using other dimension tables. For example, we have a product table and we have a product subcategory table. The product table is directly connected to fact table, and the subcategory product table is not directly connected to sales table, but that table is connected to product table. So that particular table is not directly connected to sales table, but that is connected via product table. So this is the example of the snowflake schema.
Okay. Can you please mention two fact tables and 5 dimension tables that you have used in your project?
I have worked on fact tables like primary sales table and secondary sales table, and the dimension tables like employee table, customer table or account table, date table, region table, and product table.
What is the most challenging project that you have worked on?
I guess the CFO report that I have created in my previous organization was the most challenging project that I have worked on, because on that in that particular report I had to create so many complex measures, and I had to plot those measures in customized visuals. For example, I had to plot 27 measures in a customized metrics. That was very challenging for me, and I had to plot a number of measures in waterfall chart. So that particular project was quite challenging for me.
Okay. I think we are good. I have noted down the points that I wanted to know. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes. Can you please tell me the roles and responsibilities that are there in your department, and for which client and for which domain you are hiring?
Sure. So this position basically is a core Power BI developer where you will have to write tags. You will have to clean the data using Power Query. You will have to publish it to multiple users. You will have to create. So all the questions that I had asked regarding row level security, active relationships, cross filtering, all of them are being used in this particular project. That's why I had asked those practical questions. This is for a healthcare client, and obviously for obvious reason I'll not disclose the detail of the clients, but you will be working as a Power BI developer. Your prime day-to-day responsibilities will be gathering the requirements, creating blueprints, and then you have to design unit tests, support with the QA team as you have done in the past, right? And then moving the reports to production. So that will be the overall responsibilities that the person we are looking for should be able to fulfill.
Are you using any other BI tool besides Power BI like Tableau, Alteryx, ClickView, etc.?
So for other projects, yes, we do use, but in this particular project for which we are hiring, we are only using Power BI, and to an extent we use SQL and Python.
As a developer, will I be communicating directly to client, or the business analyst or team leader is there to communicate with the client?
So the project will run in agile mode, and you will be communicating with the business analyst and the client on a daily basis. Do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good for this time. When can I get the feedback for my interview?
I'll pass on the feedback to higher management and they'll get back to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.